Good morning, lovely souls. It's Tim Wild, and as you can probably see, I am not in the woods this morning. I'm on holiday down in Devon, and you just got to have a quick look at that behind me. It's where I am. It's actually not for the squeamish. I've climbed to the top of a cliff, and right below me, that you can see, it's a good 200 foot to the bottom. So I'm going to crack on with this Ascension video this morning because there's a few things that I want to cover, but it would probably be better if I try and put the video down somewhere or just hold it steady. So yeah, hope you're all right. Hope you're all having a lovely week. I've got a few things that I want to talk about and cover this morning because naturally questions are rolling in. The energies have been incredibly high. As I kind of arrived on holiday, there was the build up for the Scorpio full moon, and wow, was that ever a full moon. And the other thing that was particularly significant about this day, I think it was the same day that Diana Cooper and I ran the first Councils of Light event, and Pluto went into retrograde. Now, when Pluto goes into retrograde, I mean, that is generational stuff. That is deep release, deep cleansing, kind of the end of certain kind of sets and modalities of behaviour. But yeah, we are now going through all of that. And I think a lot of us found that Scorpio full moon particularly hard hitting. I actually quite enjoyed the energy for once. Usually full moons and water signs make me feel quite, well, they do what they say on the tin. They dig in and they remove things that shouldn't be there. But it was kind of more the after effects of it that I could feel more than anything else. But one question that I'd like to cover this morning is a lot of you have been noticing recently, especially if you're in prominent positions where you're working with others, or you might just be raising your head above the parapet and kind of acknowledging your ascension pathway and what you're doing here, is the fact that there's quite a lot of increases in what we'd call energy attacks or attention from entities, or just basically what I'm talking about covers the entire field of that this morning. Quite simply, with the increase in light that is occurring at the moment, especially with the shadows that have been revealed with the Scorpio full moon, there's a big, again, for every time we move forward, there is a pushback from the other side. You know, I'm not trying to sound like I'm being divisive here, but it is just simply a fact of where we are on the pathway at the moment. The entire planet is waking up, and there are a group of souls or forces or whatever you want to call them that are very, they're particularly keen on making sure that this doesn't happen. We all know that's not going to work. But in the meantime, you and I and all of the others out there who are working or striving for the light have got to go through phases where we have increasing quantities of opposition and, even right down to kind of personal attacks on our bodies, our energies and our fields, either from people in physical or from souls in etheric, or both, if you're unfortunate enough to be choosing that particular set of lessons. Now, so how do we navigate that? How do we get to the phase where our light is unwaverable, where we are unshakable in our foundations? And most of the time, as you will know, that these things occur when we are feeling at our most vulnerable. Say you're tired, you've had a set of lessons yourself, or the circumstances around you are a bit challenging, or you might even have you might have just even kind of reached the point where you need a bit of a break. And all of a sudden, just as you're feeling like you've let your guard down, or you're feeling particularly tired, you are, for want of a better word, your energy is attacked by something or someone or something. So where do we get to the phase where this doesn't occur? And to be honest with you, I'm always as practical and as down to earth as possible. This is where we live at the moment. We're still living in a state of polarity where light and dark are both are existing in the same space, and you can either take your choice as to which one that you're going to follow. Now, eventually this will be phased out as we move into 5D. The options for the free will, for the polarity, they will kind of be changing to a point where we no longer really even feel the need to identify with that sense of polarity, where it's almost, if you wanted to look at it bluntly, we won't have the same quantity of free will that we used to, because we'll be functioning from the heart. And you've heard me speak about this before, the heart-centered consciousness, where we are purely based in service rather than the individuality. But that's for the future. So where we are at the moment, sorry, I'm changing hands with the camera again. Where we are at the moment, we are faced with a situation where we have got to deal with this duality. And we have got to be in situations where, you know, we've got to get our shields on and our armour. And my way of dealing with it previously was to put my armour of God on, call on Archangel Michael, ask him to surround me with the deep blue cloak of protection, and just make sure that I was completely armoured up. You might have even heard me kind of mention the tri-seal that I use on a daily basis, which is a combination of Archangel Michael's energy, Archangel Gabriel's energy, and Archangel Zadkiel's energy. So first of all, I put the blue cloak over my bodies and fields. Then I put Archangel Gabriel's diamond ray over my fields. And then just to finish it off, I put Archangel Zadkiel's cosmic diamond violet flame. And the first time I put that on, Archangel Michael kind of joked to me, "Oh, you going to war?" And I was like, "No, I'm actually going around to friends for coffee." But you know, at that particular time, I just felt like I needed it. Now, over the years, I've used that combination on a regular basis, and I'll post the link to it because it is a very, very effective way of keeping your energy high, pure and clear. But I've diverged slightly. The way that I deal with it now is that I view my personal light, and the same will apply to you, as my protection. So the higher my light is and the higher my vibration is, the more my personal protection is in place, because when you are vibrating at that frequency, nothing can touch you. Okay, now this is something that a lot of you will be feeling intuitively as well, particularly in the last kind of 5 or 6 years or so, is that when you are kind of absolute in your vibration, when your frequency feels untouchable, when your light is high, when you're feeling good, when you're feeling grounded, nothing gets you, nothing gets in the chinks in the armour, nothing gets in your bodies and fields. But the reality of the situation is we can't all function like that. So how do we protect ourselves from these, dare I say it, fairly inevitable energy attacks that we are receiving at the moment, particularly as the Earth goes through these changes, particularly as we gain more ground as light workers, establishing a 5th dimensional vibration on the planet is causing a lot of upheaval, particularly in the 3D camp. They want to stop it, okay? And so we find ourselves vulnerable to these attacks, these kind of what we call almost, or just energetic affronts. That's the kind of the most politically or spiritually correct way that I can find to call it this morning. And in some cases we are relying on each other now. So if you are feeling like that, if you feel like you've been knocked off centre, if something's basically linked into your bodies or your energies or your fields or something, then you call upon people who are working with you or that you know that you're connected with, and you ask them to assist. But the most kind of the most responsible way to deal with it is actually be responsible for our own bodies and fields. So become aware of your own energy dynamics, the things that trigger you, the things that lower your light, the things that lower your frequency and compromise you on that level. And again, you know, as it's the same old thing, I've been saying it for over a year now, do not tune into media. in any way, shape or form. There's a lot, and this is increasing as well, as predicted. The news has kind of got it's ramping up in its attempts to kind of keep us in fear and negativity. Just detune from it, okay? You'll find the truth, or you'll find what serves you the most kind of being presented to you through other means, through other channels. And there's certain things out there at the moment that will drop your light like a stone. Don't tune into them. And they're specifically designed to kind of link these energies in. So first and foremost, self-responsibility, keeping your light high and clear, keeping yourself grounded, eating and drinking the things that serve your bodies and your fields rather than not. Take time out when you're tired, okay? Again, this is something that I've repeated a lot over the last years, because it applies to me just as much as it applies to you. When you are feeling like you need to withdraw and take time for yourself, do so, okay? Because it's incredibly important that we take that time out. You know, once you're fried, again, you're on your back heel, a little bit like a boxer in the corner of the boxing ring. You are vulnerable to things that come in your direction. But inevitably, no matter what happens, once you've raised your head above the parapet, once you have one of the final gates of mastery is when you're on this ascension pathway, is to become unshakable within your own light. And of course, to be tested for that it's obligatory. So you're going to get it, okay? And I've been through it many times over the years. It's just as you think you're stable, just as you think you're on your feet and you're grounded, something comes along to see how much your cage will be rattled. So I'm seeing a lot of that at the moment. A lot of you brave, wonderful, shiny souls have stepped up. Okay, you've like, I am here to be part of this ascension process. You're standing in your mastery, you're standing in your light, and then all of a sudden things start getting thrown from all sides at your bodies and fields and your sense of self to try and shake you off that perch. Be strong, okay? It's only a temporary one. Once you've shaken it off, once you've moved through it, and you've learned to manage your bodies and fields, then it becomes something that it might repeat itself until the lesson has been learnt and you're absolutely fluent in it. But just whatever it is, it's the nuts and bolts of this is we can no longer really be kind of dependent on an outside source or an outside body or an outside energy to protect us. We are now responsible for our own light in the kind of that, and that is in the utmost sense of the word, power and responsibility, self-mastery. So if you raise your light to the level where it is high enough to be seen from all dimensions, the higher ones, and also you're visible from the lower ones, just be aware that once that light has reached a certain pitch, it doesn't matter what is thrown at it, it will not falter. Okay, so the most effective protection that I have found and that I've used and I've relied on, particularly in the last couple of years or so, is most definitely my heart center. Okay, if you work with your heart center, first of all, it is the base of all truth. If you are given information that you need confirmation on, you know, it's basically the ultimate discernment point. So you take that information into the heart and you ask your heart. You don't ask an exterior source, you don't ask your guides, you don't ask your angels. You take it into your heart. Okay, this is another step over the threshold of mastery, and you will eventually, in whatever form, get the answer that is absolutely resonant with your personal truth. Well, your own heart center is also the point of all energy that will protect you from anything that is coming in from the outside. And once we realise that we've stepped over that 5D threshold and we've raised our frequency, we've raised the bar, we've raised our vibration, and we realise there is no them and us, we are all one with each other, that kind of negates the need for being protected from anything in the first place. It's all down to our our perception of self, our self-confidence. Some days we're feeling confident, some days we feel like we can stand up on our own and change the world. Other days we're feeling vulnerable and we're feeling we feel like we need the assistance, and that's the days inevitably that we will be tested on. So if you are at the moment finding that you are being thrown in at the deep end, that you are maybe being attacked energetically or maybe even personally on social media, raise your light and take it into your heart center and allow your heart to spread a field around you of pure love and impenetrable energy. So this is we're kind of going back to self-reliance for our protection again. So what I was going to say is about the heart field. Like, your fifth dimensional heart center is the most powerful tool that you will have on your ascension process, not only for its ability to kind of connect into the sources of unconditional love from around the universe, but also in it's just has this field of vibration that removes anything that is not of the truth, of pure love, of harmony, of every single sort of functional balance that we have on this ascension process. It will come from your heart center. So take whatever is going on into your heart center, allow your heart center to alchemize it and spread a field of light around you that will ultimately be your protection. Your vibration is your protection. Okay, now this might take a little bit of mastering, it might take a little bit of getting used to, because we have become very, very kind of trained to be dependent on outside sources to do the work for us. And I know for years and years and years, whenever I felt like I was being kind of compromised in any way, I would always look to Archangel Michael, or I'd use tools and downloads to ultimately surround and protect my fields from whatever it is that I was worried about. And that works to a certain degree, but ultimately we will have an agreement or a contract with whatever is challenging our energies in order to step through that boundary, step through that gateway. So it will continue to occur until we have mastered this energy, the energy boundaries that I'm talking about. So give this a try. Start working with your heart today. Okay, move into your heart center if you're feeling in any way, shape or form out of kilter, out of balance. Visualize it as a pure white energy center and move that energy from the center of your heart until it expands around your bodies and your fields. Get used to it, begin to work with it. And then ultimately, from that point onwards, breathe a field of beautiful, radiant, protective energy all around you. Okay, give it a try now. Just take a deep breath in. And as you breathe out, move the light from your heart center, from the center of your chest, and you might see it as white or gold or pink and green or any of those colors combined. And just breathe in. And breathe out and just allow your heart to expand all around you. And as you keep breathing, your heart field expands until you are surrounded in a cocoon or a bubble of your own light. And just now allow your heart center to set that frequency, that vibration. And just rest for a few moments within it. Now, ask your heart consciously, or instruct it to do this for you. Ask it to set your personal vibration and hold it there. Okay, so that any exterior energies are alchemized by your light. Your light is more powerful than lower frequencies. Your vibration is more powerful than lower frequencies. So just take a few moments and put your heart completely in charge of everything within the biosphere of your reality. And just take a few moments to feel and sense how grounded and strong you feel now. Okay. Now keep practicing with that. Keep going with it. It's not something that, it might be something that you kind of get the hang of immediately. It might click straight away. But on the other hand, you might need to practice with it, because a lot of the times we are used to looking for exterior sources, but ultimately the responsibility now lies with us. And once you've mastered this, once you have become master of your reality, then nothing can shake that light. Okay, it doesn't matter what it is, it doesn't matter what angle it comes from, it will simply be alchemized by your fields, and everything around you will rise to your frequency, not the other way round. So I hope this is useful. I hope it kind of puts it, for me, it completely put the perspective of where we are and what we're doing on this ascension pathway in a state where I could, when I went through this, it gave me the ability to manage it myself rather than the world around me managing me. It might take a few time, might even take you a couple of weeks to start getting used to it, but once you do, you'll never look back. Okay, so I'll just give you a quick look at where I am on top of the cliff. The vertigo didn't get me. Sending you all lots of love, and I will be back on Monday with a walking meditation. But I hope you all have a beautiful end to week and a lovely weekend wherever you are and what you're doing. Bye for now.